We are, it looks like, live here at the Buttonwood Park Zoo, waiting to see if anybody can see me now that I'm live. We're a couple minutes out from today's virtual keeper chat, so I'm just checking to see who's on board and who's online with me. And this animal that you're looking at right now is one of our North American black bears who's soaking up the intermittent sun, doing what bears do on a day like today. So I see a couple of thumbs up. It just tells me some people are seeing this, which is great. I see a heart, which is awesome. We're like a minute out, so I'm just testing. Oh, I see Elizabeth, who says awesome bears. Yep. And Carrie's telling me that this looks good, so this is awesome. So as I walk, I'm going to talk a little bit and welcome everybody to today's version of our virtual keeper chat. Good morning, Diane. So today we're out on grounds and we're going to wander over to an area where folks, when they're here, tends to be one of their favorite spots. And it still looks like I'm coming in good, so that's awesome. So we're so sorry you guys cannot be here live with us. We miss our visitors, but we're having a lot of fun with these virtual keeper chats. So does anybody recognize where I am in the zoo and where I'm headed? I was over by the bears. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you're really enjoying the keeper chats. Okay, so this is the area we're going to be in today. So does anybody know where this is? Let me see if I can get a picture of this sign. You can kind of see with the branch. We are actually in our animal ambassador encounter space, and it's one of the areas where we bring out a lot of different animals. Hey, Danielle, who are we checking in with today? That's a good question. So I'm going to give a couple of hints before I do the reveal. And I'll start off by saying this is one of our animal ambassadors. For those folks that come here and know some of our animal ambassadors, do we have any guesses? And the next clue I'll give you is that it is not a mammal. So those of you that know some of the animal ambassadors we have, anybody want to shout out a guess? And just kind of teasing you guys a little bit. I see lots of thumbs up, which is awesome. So it's not a mammal, and it's one of our animal ambassadors. And the next clue I will give you is that it has feathers. I'm seeing lots of thumbs up. I think there's a little bit of a delay in the comments, though. So people might be shouting out, but I think it's there's a little bit of a delay. Lots of hearts, lots of thumbs up, which is awesome. Emily thinks it's a tegu. That is a good guess. It's not a mammal, so tegu would be one of them. But my second clue was it has feathers, and our tegus do not have feathers. Let's see, any other guesses? Danielle is saying eagle. I would love to have an animal ambassador that was an eagle, but our eagles are on display only. I'm not even going to hold up the suspense anymore. I'm going to pan in to today's virtual keeper chat guest. And for those of you that have been here, this is one of our turkey vultures. And handling the turkey vulture today is Sam. Sam's one of our education staff. And I'm going to turn it right over to him so he can tell you all about this turkey vulture.
Awesome. So again, my name is Sam, and here I have Vlad, and Vlad is a turkey vulture. Now, they are called turkey vultures because kind of from a distance, people think they look like turkeys. They've got those dark, bulky brown bodies and that really colorful head. So it's really easy to see why people can confuse them as turkeys. So Vlad here has been here for almost 5 years, but he's almost, we would say, at least 6 years old. With a lot of birds, once they reach adulthood, it's really hard to tell how old they are. So we can only guess based on the amount of time he's been here. And Vlad here, as big as he is, doesn't really weigh that much. He only weighs about 4 pounds, which is very light. And you have to be light if you're a bird so you can get right off the ground. Now, I think turkey vultures and vultures in general are really, really cool animals because they do a really cool but kind of gross thing that is very appreciated. And that's that vultures clean up all the dead things that we find outside the road or that unfortunately just pass away. And we don't want those things piling up and stinking up our neighborhoods or the wild. So our vultures are going to go there and they're going to eat all that nice gross things. And vultures, they're not going to eat every single gross thing. They do have some standards, and they're going to only eat things that have been dead for about 24 to 48 hours. Now you might be thinking, how is a vulture going to eat a lot of that gross stuff? Is it going to make it sick? But vultures are really, really cool in the sense that they have really, really strong stomach acid. Their stomach acid is so low, it's a little bit above 0 on the pH scale. Which is more acidic than a car battery acid. So if you were to take vulture stomach acid and throw it on a car, the paint would melt right off. So with that strong stomach acid, anything that they eat, if it's died from things like rabies or anthrax, or if it has botulism, or anything gross like that, those gross things are going to die right in the stomach acid. So they're not going to be spreading to other people or to other animals. So they're a great cleanup crew. Now, typically when we think of vultures, we always see them soaring high in the sky, and we think that vultures are circling because they're waiting for something to unfortunately pass away. But that's not true. Vultures are going to be circling around. They're going to be riding the thermals or the hot air because they're going to be smelling for those nice, tasty treats.
So we have a quick question from Leah, who wants to know, what do turkey vultures do during the day?
What do they do during the day? That's a great question. So turkey vultures are going to spend a lot of their day just riding those thermals. So again, riding high up in the sky, and they're going to be smelling for their next meal. So they're going to spend a lot of their days just flying or eating.
Okay, so another question from Sheila is, what do they die from? So what would be something that would be a predator for a turkey vulture?
Turkey vultures in general don't have many predators. I would say that their main thing, especially, growing up, their main predators are going to be like foxes or coyotes or things like that. But as adults, turkey vultures don't really have any predators.
Okay, Diane wants to know, are their heads always red?
Are their heads always red? For turkey vultures, yes. When they're first hatched, they kind of typically have grayer heads, but then when they grow up, they grow into those red heads.
Okay, do they eat live food ever?
Turkey vultures will occasionally fish washes up on the beach, but their primary diet is going to be carrion or dead things.
All right, Kaiden, age 9, wants to know, can they hear?
His two awesome senses are going to be his eyesight, which he uses to search for his food, and also his sense of smell.
Okay, Emily wants to know if they can turn their head all the way around like an owl.
They can turn their head pretty far. I don't think they have quite as many vertebrae or bones in their neck as owls, but he does have a very flexible neck, and if he wanted to, he could kind of twist it around.
All right, and Anastasia, age 5, wants to know, do they have teeth?
Do they have teeth? No. Birds in general don't have teeth. So his big thing, if he's going to be eating a lot of meat, is we can see he has a really, really sharp beak. So he's going to use that sharp beak so we can kind of rip up his food and then swallow it.
Okay, Jackson, age 5, wants to know, how high do they fly?
They can fly pretty high. I've seen upwards of 30 to 60 meters, and I believe that's a couple 100 feet high.
All right, and Sheila wants to know, do they migrate in the winter?
Yes, especially more in, I would say, northern turkey vultures, because these guys are found all across North America. Typically in the winter months in the Northeast, they're going to start migrating down south and into South America.
Okay, for those people that are just sort of logging on now with us, can you again just sort of introduce this guy?
Yeah, again, so this is Vlad. Vlad is, I would say, our 6-year-old turkey vulture.
Okay, and Kathy wants to know, are they related to turkeys?
Are they related to turkeys? In some distance way, because they are birds, but not directly related.
Okay, well, these are some great questions. So Hans wants to know, do males and females look different from one another?
Males and females look very, very similar. It's very hard to tell them apart.
Okay, and then Alyssa wants to know why the tip of his beak is the only part that's white.
That's a great question, and I actually don't know the answer to that.
Okay, well, that's okay. Do they eat mice?
They eat mice, yes. Turkey vultures and vultures will eat pretty much anything that's dead.
Okay, how long do they sleep? Charles, age 6, wants to know.
How long do they sleep? I would say most of the nights. I would say probably about 8 to 10 hours or so.
So here's a great question. When they're perched with their wings spread out wide, what are they up to? Are they just warming up?
Yeah, so that can be 3 different things. When turkey vultures go to sleep, they actually lower their body temperature to about 93 degrees Fahrenheit. So they kind of go a little hypothermic. So in the mornings, they might spread their wings out to warm themselves up. If they had just taken a bath in some water, they're going to use it to dry out. And as we said, since they like to eat dead things, they might have bacteria and other gross things on their wings. So the sun's rays are going to bake off and kill all those gross things on their wings.
All right. And Colin, age 6, wants to know, what is their favorite carcass to eat?
Their favorite carcass? I would say they're not picky.
Okay. How long do they live? Kaiden, age 9, wants to know that one.
In the wild, typically about 16 years. With humans at upwards of 25 to 30 years.
And Ryan, age 12, wants to know, do they eat insects?
They might eat a little insects, but their primary thing is going to be meat.
Caleb, age 9, wants to know, what is their wingspan? That's a great question.
His wingspan is going to be between 5 and 6 feet. So the perfect distance to stand apart from one another. So if you want to practice some social distancing, just think of one turkey vulture's wingspan apart.
Okay, so Noah, age 6, would like to know how many eggs they can lay and where do they build their nests?
Great question. So turkey vultures lay on average 2 eggs, sometimes 1, rarely 3, but so I'd say 2 is the average. And unlike most birds, vultures don't build nests high in the trees. They're going to maybe find a cave or maybe like a hollow log or just like a little depression on the ground, kind of scratch the surface a little bit, and that's where they're going to lay their eggs.
So Kara, age 8, wants to know what states they live in.
They can be found all over North America. They typically prefer more wide open areas. I'd say like farmlands and prairies. They really don't like densely forested areas.
Okay, so Patty is wondering, how did we actually get Vlad?
How did we get Vlad? So although you can't see it because his wings are tucked in, Vlad does have a permanent wing injury. So if you were to spread one of his wings out, you can see it wouldn't extend all the way out. So we don't know how that injury happened. Our best guess is because they are scavengers. He might have been on the side of the road and a car might have hit him on accident.
Okay, so Kathy wants to know, do both the parents sit on the nest?
Do they both sit on the nest? Yes, they both take care of the eggs and take care of the young as well.
Kaiden wants to know, does he like you?
Does he like me? Yes.
And we had a question from Heather, which I think you may have answered, but just so the folks that are just joining us can hear. Do vultures ever eat live food?
They might eat a few bugs here and there, or if a fish washes up on the shore, but their primary diet is going to be carrion.
We're getting some great questions.
Awesome.
I'm trying to filter
So some really
through.
cool things about vultures that you might think is kind of gross is if you kind of zoom in on his legs, you can see he kind of has some white all over the bottom of his feet, and that's going to serve two purposes. That white's not chalk or anything. That white is actually his urates, or it's when he goes to the bathroom. So he goes to the bathroom down his legs, and that seems kind of gross, but that serves two different purposes. The first is that because birds can't sweat, and Vlad or turkey vultures in general might be super hot, so when they go to the bathroom down their legs, as that waste evaporates, it actually cools themselves off, and it's called urohydrosis. Another purpose is because their insides are super acidic. As they go to the bathroom down their legs, that super acidic waste is going to kill any viruses or bacteria on them.
Kason7 wants to know how old he is, which I know you've answered, but...
Vlad is, to our knowledge, at least 6 years old. We don't know the exact age because he came to us as an adult.
Okay. Let's see. Sheila wants to know, how is their call different from that of a crow? So do these guys make noises?
These guys do make noise, but they don't make like songbird calls or like eagle, owl, hawk, things like that. They lack a voice box, so they're gonna make kind of grunts and kind of scratchy noises.
So Braylon, age 6, wants to know if they might hurt people if we tried to touch him.
If we tried to touch him, he's not gonna attack us. What vultures in general are going to do is they're either going to fly away really fast, or if they get really scared, they're actually going to throw up all the stuff on the inside. And so that throw up is going to be really smelly, so it might make us run away screaming. And if we were unlucky enough to be close enough to that vomit where it got in our face, it might burn us as well.
Emily, age 5, would like to know, if he were to carry his food, would it be in his beak or his talons?
If he were to carry his food, it would be in his beak. Vultures in general, or New World vultures, I should say, have really weak feet. So they don't have grasping feet like other raptors. But these guys, when they find their meals, they're just going to eat it right there and then.
So Rebecca, I think this is in response to you talking about how they will throw up. Rebecca, age 8, says, ew! Leah, age 7, wants to know, are they born with feathers?
Yes, they are born, or I should say hatched. So when you come from an egg, you're hatched. And they do hatch with really downy and fluffy feathers. So their feathers are really nice and fluffy, and these guys are going to be a lot more gray in the face.
And Dory, age 6, says, what makes him so lightweight?
What makes him so lightweight? That would be his hollow bones. So birds have to be extremely lightweight to be able to fly. And if they had bones like us, they'd be stuck on the ground.
All right, let's see. They're coming in fast and furious. Why is the... Patty says she loves birds. We love birds here, too.
I love all the burbs.
Marcia is asking, for Juliana, age 8, why is the vulture's face red?
His face is red.
So you can kind of see... I'm going to see how close I can get. I don't want him to throw up on me.
That's okay.
But you can see where his beak goes from white to red.
Yeah, I don't know the exact reason why his face is red, but I can tell you that the reason he doesn't have any feathers on his head, so he's got that bald red head, is because, again, they like to eat dead things, and so they're going to stick their head inside that animal. And if you had a really feathered head and you came out, you would have all like gooey and gross things on your head. So by having a bald head, once they finish their meal, they're just going to let it bake off in the sun, or they're going to wipe it off on the grass like a napkin.
And Kaiden, age 9, wants to know, what do we feed him here? That's a great question, Kaiden.
Here at the zoo, we feed Vlad a mix of like mice and rats and rabbits. Occasionally, we do feed him a little bit of fish as a treat, but primarily it is going to be rodents.
And so that's his favorite, the rodents?
Yeah, those are his favorite things.
Can you just tell us, I'm fielding through the questions here. Oh, Braylon asks if he's alone in the zoo, or does he have a friend in his habitat?
So vultures, or I should say Vlad does live with our great horned owl, Cisco. But in the wild, turkey vultures are typically solitary during the day, but at nighttime they will roost in trees with a lot of other vultures.
And if you come here when you can to visit the zoo, you'll see we also have some turkey vultures in with our bald eagles. Emily wants to know how he got his name.
How he got his name? He came to us with that name.
Patty says birds are so adorable, and I think Sam probably agrees.
I love birds.
Let's see if I've missed any questions here. I'm trying to get them all as I'm scrolling through. Caleb, age 9, wants to know how long they can live. I think you mentioned that into their...
Yeah, so in the wild, 16 years.
Yeah.
With humans, 25 to 30 years.
Okay. So if you wanted folks to know one thing about turkey vultures, what would it be?
The one thing I would say would be about vultures in general. People think of vultures as really gross, disgusting animals, but they do play a really nice ecological role for us. And that's the sense that they are a cleanup crew. If we didn't have vultures, we'd have rampant disease spreading around like rabies and botulism and things like that, and we'd have dead animals piled up all over the place.
I'm trying to get in close so you can see them, because one of the things I've always found amazing is just how clean they really are.
Yeah, birds love to keep themselves really clean. So he'll clean his face off after every meal, and then periodically during the day he'll kind of pick out his feathers and straighten them out. It's called preening. So he looks nice and handsome.
So what are some fun facts about this guy, his personality?
What are some fun facts? I would say that some fun facts about Vlad.
What's his personality like? Is he a playful bird? Is he a grumpy bird?
I would say that Vlad has his people. There are people that he loves to see, and he'll come out and investigate and hang out with them a bunch. But then there's other people where he's like, I don't like you so much. So he's kind of a selective person. But the people he does like, he's a little playful. So if you kind of give him a stick, he'll kind of nibble at it and play with it a little bit. But overall, I'd say he's a very calm bird. Nathan,
age 8, wants to know, how big can they get?
This is a full-size turkey vulture. So you can see he's about 1.5 to 2 feet tall, and his wingspan's going to be between 5.5 to 6 feet.
And he really is a calm bird, because he's staying really comfortably as I'm putting this camera in his face, which is great. All right, let's see. Have I missed? Who's his favorite human?
His favorite human would probably be Carrie Hawthorne, our education curator.
Yeah. And she's worked with him for quite a while.
Yeah.
So do you do any sort of training with this bird for him to just be so comfortable sitting on your hand?
Yeah, so with all birds, we always want to do training so they're nice and comfortable. So we start out just by sitting in the enclosure with Vlad, so he gets used to our presence. So he's like, hey, this guy's no big deal. I'm going to hang out with him. And then gradually we work on to introducing a glove, so he doesn't get scared from that. And then stepping up onto the glove and then putting on his equipment.
And so somebody had a question what his favorite snacks are. When you're working with him, does he have a favorite food item?
I think he loves all food. So he'll take any bit of rat or mice or mouse, I should say, and eat that.
So Parker, age 3, wants to know if he's more into kids or adults.
I think he likes both kids and adults equally.
What does vulture enrichment look like? That's a great question from Meg.
So vulture enrichment, we want to typically mimic everything they would get in the wilds. So sometimes we'll give him different food sources. So again, we will give him some fish occasionally to eat on that. And then his other stuff is that we will kind of wrap his food up in newspaper, or we'll put it into little feeder balls and things like that, so we can practice pulling food out of that and also practicing the ripping and tearing.
I don't know if you know this one, but Leah, age 7, wants to know, how big are their eggs?
How big are
I
their
guess
eggs?
it's compared to like a chicken egg, maybe.
Probably 2 to 3 times the size of a chicken egg.
All right, and Patty wants to know, how many do we have? Actually, Tegan, age 8, wants to know that.
How many do we have here at the zoo?
Yeah.
I believe we have 4 in total.
Correct,
So we have
yeah.
Vlad, and then we also have 3 who live with our eagles.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, again, another one. Mom, age 33, wants to know how big are his wings. So we talked a little bit about that.
His wings are going to be 5.5 to 6 feet. And those really large wings, again, are great. So when he's up in the sky riding those thermals, he doesn't have to put in a lot of effort to fly.
All right. I think we've gone through all the questions we have. Oh, Marianne wants to know, is your arm getting tired?
It is a little tired. So holding all birds out, even weighing 4 pounds, does get a little tired. When you work with birds of prey, you learn some tricks. So you can kind of tilt your arm a little bit or kind of pop your elbow on your hip to give you a little bit of a break.
All right. So what can we do to help vultures in the wild? And what's their status in the wild?
Turkey vultures right now are least concern, and so are black vultures. Those are our 2 most common vultures. But elsewhere in the world, vultures are declining rapidly. So those old world vultures that we find in Europe and Asia and Africa, those numbers are going down a lot.
And why is that?
People have a lot of misconceptions about vultures, that they think that they are going to kill their livestock or they carry disease, when it's kind of the opposite. Those vultures aren't going to be eating your livestock, and those vultures are going to be stopping the spread of disease. So that's the big takeaway I want to get for vultures, is that they really do a lot for us. So here in the US, what we can do for vultures is just to educate ourselves about them and educate others, so people think that they're really cool.
And that's kind of why we're here with Vlad today. So I think we've run through all the questions. So with that being said, I'm going to take one more close-up of Vlad, and hopefully he doesn't feel threatened.
Yeah.
Or we'll be seeing a whole nother kind of video.
Yeah. So again, vultures are one of the first signs of spring, because in the winter they do migrate south. But as it starts to warm up, they're going to be migrating back up north here into Massachusetts and New England. So be sure to take a look for vultures as you're taking your walks, and also take a look at our nature connections that we post daily on our Facebook page.
Awesome. So if you guys like today's Keeper Chat, be sure to give us plenty of thumbs up and hearts. You know, we're not open to the public right now. These are tough times for everybody, but we hope if you like our Keeper Chat and you support the zoo, you'll take the time to maybe provide a donation. I know there's a donate button there. I'm shameless, so I will plug it because I love our zoo. I love these chats. Thank you so much, Sam. And we'll see you again tomorrow at 11 o'clock, folks. Have a great day.